what age you started learning robotics actually?
At a very young age when I went into robotics. Before robotics, first I started with electronics. We got the term called robotics. It was getting very much popular after the famous Rajinikanth's movie Indiri. So many of those projects, and that is when I started my own company because
Started getting into robo. Why and what made you to start that actually?
during the time I said the movie release, so I was so much attracted to robots. But at that time, I don't teach robotics directly in online, but I teach like a mixed kind of thing, like software half and robotics half. So that would India is a base, and we have students from India, we have students from Malaysia, we have students from Singapore, we have students from Dubai, Germany, and USA also.
So is it all again Indians or different nationalities actually?
Yeah, it's all Indians.
What kind of charges you do that actually?
According to the regulations in India, if you are under 18, you can't have government funds directly. But I was eligible for funding because I have spoken with a lot of mentors, I have spoken with a lot of investors. I was very eligible for funding. But the only problem is that
what kind of benefit as an investor they can expect from you also?
One of the biggest benefit I would see is that for all the stakeholders,
16 வயசுல இந்தியாக்காக விளையாட வந்த சச்சின் டெண்டுல்கரை கிரிக்கெட் கார்டுன்னு எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும். சச்சின் டெண்டுல்கர் மட்டும் இல்ல, விராட் கோலியா இருக்கட்டும், தோனியா இருக்கட்டும், அது மட்டும் எதுக்குங்க, 18 வயசுல வேர்ல்ட் செஸ் சாம்பியன், யங்கஸ்ட் வேர்ல்ட் செஸ் சாம்பியன் ஆன குகேஷா இருக்கட்டும், பிரக்கா இருக்கட்டும், வைஷாலியாக இருக்கட்டும், இவங்க மட்டும் இல்ல, இது மாதிரி நிறைய பேர் இந்தியால இருக்காங்கன்னு அப்படின்னு எடுத்து சொல்றதுக்கு தாங்க இந்த சேனல். ஆமாங்க, இன் ஹீரோ இஸ் ஆல் அபவுட் ப்ரொஜெக்டிங் இந்தியன் ஹீரோஸ். இன்னைக்கு நம்ம அதுல பார்க்க போறது கிருத்திக் விஜயகுமார், who's also invented solar car, and he has a company, private limited company. At the age of 19 he makes in lakhs actually. So let's get into the podcast, listen from him what is he has to say for us. Krithik, thanks for joining this podcast actually. Thanks for joining it. At what age you started learning robotics actually?
So it was at a very young age when I went into robotics. Before robotics, first I started with electronics. So if you wonder, I would say it was when I was doing my first grade. That is when...
That's about 6 years.
Yeah, when I was like 6-7 years of age. I was in Bangalore. And my journey actually started with a health issue. I had severe wheezing problem. So I used to be at home, and I won't just go out very often because the Bangalore climate, you know it very well. Like 10 years back. So I used to sit at home. I used to do something like I used to play the remote cars, and sometimes I get bored. I just take it out. I just start take out the motor and I start doing something else. So this is how the interest with electronics started. So later on, I was also a bit dangerous too. To mention, many times I have left my finger inside the plug sockets and so turned it on, and because I like the feeling of electric shock. So all these things, my parents were scared. So that's when I just started to learn this thing. Robotics professionally, because that is when we got the term called robotics. It was getting very much popular after the famous Rajinikanth's movie Indiri. So that term got famous, and a lot of people started getting into robotics and things. So I also got into robotics when I was in 3rd grade. So I started learning a lot about robots, starting from there, very basic concepts called line follow robots and all these basic concepts. So I started learning it step by step. At a point, I thought these kind of robots should make some kind of purpose to the society. So that is when I just exited all my learnings, and during my 7th grade, I started building my own projects that would help for the society. So the first project I built was a solar powered dustbin, and the dustbin is completely smart. It can actually track the waste management, and it could give a centralized system for the government to manage the waste operations. So like this, I have built so many of those projects, and that is when I started my own company, because robotics, it's really an expensive field, and it involves a lot of money in it. But as a student, I couldn't burden my parents to generate those sources. That's why I started my company. That's how I became an entrepreneur. So I started just taking classes to students on robotics. They also learned, and I get some amount of money from that. That would help me to do some of my projects with those.
Krithik, we'll go one by one actually. First thing is, you said turning your challenges or a problem into an opportunity? Because you said early age you had a challenge of wheezing and Bangalore weather, as it will be on those days, actually not really today.
Yeah.
Today it becoming a hot weather, Bangalore also. Those days is really cool and chill, good weather actually. Okay, so turning that, because your parents are not allowing, because you had a wheezing, they put you inside and you said started learning. I mean, all kind of electronics things actually. Okay, so it's literally turning the challenges into opportunity actually. Okay, the first you said you started learning. I mean, putting the remote, breaking them, all these things. So how did this? I mean, started getting into robo. Why and what made you to start that actually?
Okay, so it was a very interesting story. Again, during the time I said, right, the movie release, so I was so much attracted to robots. But at that time, we can't say. I mean, we didn't have so many robotics classes as we had today.
Okay.
Like those times, that is when even internet was flourishing much in India, and a lot of people don't know we had Google. We didn't have Google Maps or those kind of search facilities. So it's like only a word of mouth advertisement. We just come to know about classes. So basically, for at those times it was called science. So that's how I just went to some science classes, learned the basic science, and they had a workshop called as they had a summer camp where they taught robotics. That is when I went there and saw how robotics works and how they build robots, and that was a very much bit interesting. And I just saw like a very separate ocean behind it, like more than science and those things of the basic concepts. I saw robotics as a very kind of niche and very attracting field, because science still it involves a lot of experiments. It has to be like done with chemicals, all those things. But my focus was electronics.
Okay.
But robotics is not like that. Like it's completely electricals and electronics and electricity related stuff. So
Okay.
that's why I jumped into robotics.
Okay. So because see, as you rightly said, okay, it is expensive one actually. Okay. I mean, as an individual, okay, did you get any kind of funding in the past actually? Because I've saw one of your, robo, where it also move the hands. The robo moves the hands. What is that robo is all about actually? First tell me, because when I was showing that robo to one of the principals, said, even in my college, students cannot do this. Who has done that? He was asking about. Tell us about that robo and what kind of, amount is needed to make those kind of robots actually.
Okay, so the robot I built was a complete humanoid robot. So humanoid robots are nothing but robots that mimic human. So this is the robot I actually built. So the backstory of that robot was very simple. I was in lockdown time, and of course we had online classes. It was just like for 3 hours, but we know that we also didn't concentrate those 3 hours properly, because nobody is going to ask us. So meanwhile, what I used to do, I used to browse the internet to see something interesting to build.
Okay.
So what I did was, like, those times the money what I earned from these online classes, I bought a 3D printer. So
Okay.
3D printer is a kind of advanced technology that
Okay.
actually prints things in 3D, in 3 dimension thing. So I bought a 3D printer, but I was thinking, what can we build with this 3D printer? It was a very, very basic model. You can't do so much projects with that, because today latest 3D printers are like super fast, but that one is like very, very basic model and was the slowest printer. So I just bought that printer. It was in my home. I thought we should do something with this. That's when I was searching about prosthetics. So if you can build a prosthetic robotic arm, then it will be so good, because every robotic classes had this robotic arm kind of thing. So I thought, let's build a robotic arm. So that's when I built it one robotic arm. Then I built a second robotic arm. Then I thought, why don't we build an entire human robot? So then I started building the skull, the face, everything, and just finished the robot. So the biggest thing is that this entire project was like, it took me like 2 months to complete. But
Okay.
why I'm just saying 2 months mentioning is that,
Okay.
because even today a lot of companies, even a lot of startups, they're taking 1 year to build the robot.
Robot.
So 2 months was a very kind of best time with that one 3D printer and with the expertise I had during those days in that field. So I just built this humanoid robot. And the purpose of building this humanoid robot was, it was the COVID time, as I mentioned before. Many doctors needed an assistant because they can't directly go and interact with the patients.
True.
Not only COVID, you have so many kind of diseases like Ebola. There are so many kind of deadly diseases where the doctors need to go directly and treat, and which is completely dangerous. Even though they have those POP sheets and the plastic coated uniforms they had, it is, if you wear it for like 24 hours, there are like so many pictures you would have seen during those times. they look like so sweaty and exhausted. Do that, but why? Like, this is where robots can serve the purpose. Instead of getting somebody's job away, these robots can help to save somebody's life.
Yeah.
That is where we can deploy these robotics. So I thought, let's build a robot for the operation theaters and general wards, where the robot can go check the patient's health and things. So we tried to push it to the government and a lot of institutions. We were able to initiate the first contact, but during the pandemic, it was a very kind of tough situation. So people, more than concentrating on innovation, they'll try how to focus on how we can solve the problem instantly. So the innovation, we are just on hold, and now we are doing a lot of projects with the humanoid robots also.
Okay. So what kind of projects you have done actually with the humanoid robots?
So with humanoid robots, we are open to build anything, because we can build any robots for reception. Like we can place it on the reception and it can talk, and you can use it for any kind of purpose where you can replace the human. But for right now, we have use it for like kiosk-like systems, like say for a place like mall or a kind of any kind of institutions. It can be used as a kiosk which can explain you things, and it can help for like marketing.
Any of your projects actually where you have done is been put it on practical use until now?
No, right now it's still on development, because a lot of people they are ready to deploy this into the regular developments. But still we have that small lag where humans, we can't directly go interact with a humanoid robot, because even now, right now in India, if you see, we are not using Google Assistant or Siri very much. Reason is that we are very much shy to speak to an online agent. Like only some people use it, but most of people are just shy to speak to a electronic voice that's coming out. So we are just we have a bit of kind of technology. I mean, not even technology, but the gap in the society that to accept these humanoid robots. But at the development stage, they are like ready for deployment.
Okay. So tell about this actually. You said you were taking classes, robo classes. Okay. So for, what kind of classes is this? It is like a basic ones, or how many hours, and which are all the students, which country students are part of it? How many hours? Tell us about that.
Okay. So these online classes are completely based on like robotics and electronics, basically mostly focused on softwares.
Okay.
Reason is that robotics is something that you need to touch and feel and learn. So that is what I believe. So I don't teach robotics directly in online, but I teach like a mixed kind of thing, like software half and robotics half. So that would be a good kind of play. So what we especially concentrate is that we teach like completely based on those scratch based applications or softwares that can teach you easy coding. So more focusingly, we are training students on programming languages like Python, C or C++. So we are training students on these programming languages, and for students or for kids, we are actually training for like Microbit, and we have a board called as Microbit. It is a kind of open source board where students can learn robotics very easily for a starter student. And for college students, we are also providing courses like AI, ML, and deep learning. Even we are providing courses for like generative AI that is flourishing now, right now.
Okay. So you said we are providing. So anybody else other than you are involved, or you are the only person who are doing it right now?
Yeah, I'm the only person right now training the students.
Training the students. So how many batches or number of students you have done until now?
So till now we have trained, I've interacted personally, and I've trained around like 2,000 to 3,000 students right now. So we have a very big kind of base. We have trained, we have also issued certificates.
Very good. And is it all from India or other countries too?
Yeah, we have from abroad also. Like India is a base, and we have students from India. We have students from Malaysia. We have students from Singapore. We have students from Dubai, Germany, and USA also.
Okay. So is it all again Indians or different nationalities actually?
Yeah, it's all Indians.
Actually. So what kind of charges you do that actually?
So right now for students we are charging like around 20 to 25 USD per class.
Per class actually. Okay. So at the age of 19, you formed a company called, you were 19, right? If I'm not wrong. So you have a private limited company called Futura Robotics actually. So what kind of money you make right now actually?
So right now we have two kind of sectors. One is the educational sector. We actually train students, we give internships, and also we set up robotic labs for students. So these are things we are doing. So this is one segment of business. The second segment is softwares. We develop softwares, we develop robots, we develop embedded systems. So we develop all technology related stuffs based on the client's requirement. So these are two things that we are doing hand in hand. So if you say the income, what we get is that, so per project will vary around from 1 to like 10 lakhs. So this is the pool we actually have. And thing is that more you actually earn, you actually spend a lot when it comes to business because of I mean, it's not about the tax, but still you have a lot of investments around. So this is the actual pool we actually I actually earn money.
Okay, that's good. So because I understand, because mostly whatever you are earning, again you are putting in into for your, I mean, like, all kind of an innovation, whatever you're doing it actually. So we talk about your car. You made a car, solar based or battery operated car. Tell us about this car, how long it took it actually, and what kind of cost is involved in this actually.
Okay, so this was my second project during the lockdown.
Okay.
So again, when the COVID started spreading a lot around in the major cities, we went to a village. I mean, to my grandfather's house. So that's where I thought an idea, why can't we build an electric? So first idea was to build an electric cycle. But later I saw the power of the motor and saw like, why don't we build an electric car this? So that's how it started. We started welding the things and welding a very base kind of thing, and we just made a kind of very small car. But that's when I thought of giving an idea, why don't we give a solar touch to the car? Because we have electric cars.
Correct.
People are saying that using electric cars we can go we can go carbon neutral. But the actual thing is that to manufacture the entire car, again you're going to use carbon at the same thing.
Yeah, producing electric also, current also. I mean, not many, especially for Tamil Nadu, if you take it, so much of coal we are using it actually, rather than producing the
exactly.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So like mostly we use a kind of non-renewable source of energy as a major source. Even in any kind of country, you can see none of the country has gone like completely carbon neutral. So it will take so much time to reach the carbon neutral stage. Even though if you reach carbon neutral, at some point we'll use non-renewable energy consistently. So there is no way we can go carbon neutral. But at some point, the battery recharging thing, we can actually recharge it by its own. Like with the help of solar energy, we have so much kind of.
Okay.
So my idea was to use solar and other energies that the car emit, like dynamo, all those things, to just charge the vehicle continuously.
Okay.
So I just built a battery management system that will charge the thing efficiently. So it uses AI. So the thing is that a lot of battery management systems won't use like AI. It's like very standard. It just charges the battery. But mine uses AI to find strategies for better charging of the electric vehicle.
Okay.
So that's how it actually charges the vehicle, and it stays efficiently for a very long runtime.
Oh,
you don't need to charge it continuously, or you have all those features in that. And also, one of the experimental feature I tried was an autopilot feature, which a lot of people are trying. So you can see a lot of foreign cars have this autopilot feature.
Okay.
The car just drives by
on
itself.
its own. Yeah.
So I started building my own autopilot system that can actually drive in the Indian roads.
Okay.
So the only test I did was to take a straight turn and take a left turn. So this was the first test I did, and it was a bit successful, but still you have some errors. But I'm still developing on those systems.
Those systems you're still developing it actually. So all these things, again, I'm coming back to the point actually. Have you got funding for this, or is this project approved by anybody who's ready to fund you or not actually?
So a lot of my projects are completely bootstrapped. I haven't received any kind of funding because I just turned 18 like 2 years back. So according to the regulations in India, if you are under 18, you can't have government funds directly. But I was eligible for funding because I have spoken with a lot of mentors. I have spoken with a lot of investors. I was very eligible for funding. But the only problem is that the age, because I was under 18 and legally I can't start a company. Legally I can't I can start a private limited. So that's why I was unable to get those funding opportunities. Though I had opportunities, I was ready to get funding. So only the age was the biggest problem here, because I mean, again, I won't say age is a barrier. Still you can do it but the thing is that legally you have the age barrier.
So now you are 19. If some of the viewers wanted to fund you, so what kind of options you have for them actually?
Yeah, definitely they can invest on my company. I mean, if they can contact me, it's like because right now we are opening up for investors, and investors can come and invest on our company.
So what kind of benefit as an investor they can expect from you actually?
One of the biggest benefit I would see is that for all the stakeholders, my company is that because since it's robotics and electronics, I focus mostly on the top layer technology. A lot of people focus on the bottom layer of the technology. What I mean by top layer and bottom layer is that top layer of technology has a lot of benefits, because I mean top layer in the sense I mean like generative AI and those kind of things. People take time to reach that top layer. It will take a very kind of long time. But I actually develop technologies over the top layer. Means I stay always on the trend. So I won't go for
mm.
the older or very kind of older things. Again,
Mm.
I would say even because according to my thing, AI is the oldest thing
Okay.
that the technology has ever given.
Mm.
But what I see is that generative AI is the newest thing.
Mm.
AGI, what you call as artificial general intelligence. So they are the most newest things that technology needs. So since I'm focusing on the newest trends, so of course it's a kind of profitable business.
Okay. So, I mean, what amount of fund or why do you need a fund actually?
Reason is that some of the projects need a higher investment because as an individual you can't invest a lot in those projects. But as a company, when it comes like when we actually pool the funds, like two to three people invest at the same time, it becomes a higher money.
Okay.
Now with that higher money, when you start building the project and you go for rolling out the project, then as the money comes, you can just generate the ROI. So ROI today, a lot of companies are thinking like 5 to 6 years, but right now a lot of companies make the ROI in like 2 to 3 years very instantly because the growing technology trends are like super fast of generative AI and those things. So for the next 10 years or next 20 years, this generative AI and AGI is going to rule the entire tech industry and even not even tech, but everywhere you can see generative AI and AI getting popular around.
So you were 19. You were doing your undergraduate based out of, SIM.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what is your future plans?
So my future plan is to take my business further because I want to like scale up my business. I want to have it like 2 to 3 companies at the same time because I want to actually my aim is to become kind of a serial entrepreneur, which means I want to develop so many companies and I want to run through it because I have so many ideas, I have so many verticals that can be done. But to all this, I need to have some kind of funding in my hand so I can go invest it handy. So I'm just trying to increase the funding and increase the net worth of the company so that at future I could invest a lot in my future ideas.
Okay, good. Today we have seen Krithik. Tomorrow he will be one more serial entrepreneur like Ganesh of Bangalore. Today we know him that one of the well-known serial entrepreneur who has exited in multiple business actually. I mean, another 10 years, 15 years, you never know. Krithik is also one more person like this actually. So in this podcast, in this series of podcasts, we're going to see a lot of Indian heroes who's it to be make a name or it to be the countries to know actually. If you wanted to know these kind of people and what kind of qualities they have and what kind of attitudes they carry to rule the world, go ahead and watch. Not only that, go ahead and share with so many people. Let us help these Indians who rise our flags and run around the world.